Okay,
Arun,
we're
share
going. We're
அழுக்கா
live
இருக்கு.
now. We're live now.
லைவ்
by the way,
இல்ல
ஓகே ஓகே
ஸ்லைட் போட சொல்லு. அருண் ஸ்லைடு போட சொல்லு. இல்ல அருண்ட்ட காரியா நீ வாங்கி ஸ்லைட ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ணு.
Okay, okay, sir.
ஏன்னா லைவ் யூடியூப்ல பார்க்கலாமா?
பார்க்கலாம் sir.
பார்க்கலாம் சார். ஆனா இன்னும் நம்ம லிங்க் யாருக்கும் அனுப்பல.
sir அது வந்து இப்போ இதுவா இருக்கா பப்ளிக்கா இருந்தா everyone can see right now. I'll just check sir.
இல்ல அந்த லிங்க் நீ பப்ளிக்கா உள்ள வந்து அந்த chat பாக்ஸ்ல போட்டுருப்பா. அந்த மீட் இது இருக்கு.
sir இப்போ chat boxல நான் வந்து ஒரு மெசேஜ் போட்டிருக்கேன். இந்த மெசேஜ் ஓகேவான்னு பாருங்க.
அந்த மெசேஜ் பார்த்துட்டு அது ஓகே தான். ஓடி இல்ல அவ்வளவுதான்.
Okay sir, we're actually live.
Next session 3 o'clock.
Previous session
3 p.m.
we have rectified the same and now we hope we will
No.
better running.
Okay, cool.
The next speaker after
I'll put it on.
okay.
Yeah, cool.
சூப்பர் பா. அது நல்லா இருக்கியா?
என்னடா
எது sir?
அந்த chatல இருக்கிறது நல்லா இருக்குன்னு.
Okay sir, I'll send it to everyone. And sir, we're live right now.
By the way,
Okay.
chat box. The sign. Suppose I thought you wanted to put
I'll remove it. வர
உத்ரா மேம்க்கு ராஜஸ்ரீ மேம்க்கு அனுப்பிச்சிருக்கேன்.
வந்துட்ட. Uttara ma'am is in the call, sir. Okay, everyone's in the call. Harshi is in the call.
இது யாராவது கட் பண்ணாதான் உள்ள வருவாங்க. மொத்தம் 6 பேர்னா நான் லாஸ்ட்ல வரேன்ப்பா.
Sir, Shubha ma'am வர சொல்லுங்க. We'll see if it's only about the six people வரது வந்து டிஸ்ப்ளேல மட்டும் தானா இல்ல பிராட்காஸ்ட் குள்ளே அவ்வளவுதான் வர முடியுமான்னு தெரியல.
Kavya.
Harshi.
Radheshri ma'am has to come in, right?
Yeah.
மேம் கால் பண்றேன் மேம்.
We're already 6 of us.
இல்ல Harshi, I'm not sure if it's the display that only fits 6 people or broadcast 6 தானான்னு. So we'll ask them to come inside. If it doesn't work, then we can go out.
Yeah, we'll go out.
காவியா இல்ல யூடியூப் லிங்க் அனுப்புப்பா, முதல்ல எல்லாத்தையும் ஃபார்வர்ட் பண்ணிடுவோம்.
Sir, only if we link
முதல்ல எல்லாரும் ஃபார்வர்ட் பண்ண வேணாம் சார்.
We're actually live right now, sir.
sir once நம்ம செக் பண்ணிட்டு அப்புறமா ஃபார்வர்ட் பண்ணிடலாம் சார்.
ஆமா, முடிச்சிட்டு நம்ம ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ணிட்டு நம்ம அங்க ஃபார்வர்ட் பண்ணலாம்.
ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ணி ஃபார்வர்ட் பண்ணிடலாம் சார்.
மேம் உத்ரா மேம்
Radhe madam is not able to come. Yes sir.
ராஜஸ்ரீ மேம் கிட்ட ஃபோன் பண்ணி ஜாயின் பண்ண சொல்றீங்களா?
What? Wait.
Madam is not able to join.
மேம்க்கு அனுப்பிச்சிட்டேன் நான். லிங்க் இப்ப அனுப்பிச்சிருக்கேன் பாருங்க. இப்போ ஒரு லிங்க் அனுப்பிச்சிருக்கேன்.
மேம் கூகுள் Chrome வெப்சைட் சாரி Chrome அப்ளிகேஷன் யூஸ் பண்ண சொல்லுங்க மேம்.
சார் ஃபோன் பண்ணா மேம் எடுக்கல.
கூகுள் Chrome பிரவுசர் யூஸ் பண்ணீங்கன்னா கொஞ்சம் ஹெல்ப்ஃபுல்லா இருக்கும்.
ஹலோ மேம். நான் வாட்ஸ்அப் அனுப்பிச்சிருக்கேன்.
Sir, is Shubha ma'am coming, sir?
Okay, pa, ma'am,
Sir, you mute. Okay. So, sir, shall we start the live, sir?
Good morning.
Yes. Live start பண்ணலாம். Ma'am வந்து
என்னோட PowerPoint நானு have to
நீ எப்போ ஸ்கிரீன் ஷேர் சொல்றியோ
இல்ல வாட்ட சொல்லு
இல்ல PowerPointing then I part.
share screen கொடுங்க.
Okay, we're going live.
Okay, link கொடுக்கலாம். காவ்யா link கொடு.
Okay, sir.
எங்க
ஸ்டீமியர் அப்ளிகேஷனுக்கு போ.
here no where is it
கொடுமா அது ஒரு நிமிஷம் கொடுமா. ஸ்கிரீன் சொல்லிட்டேனா
okay
பவர் பாயிண்ட் போடு ஷேர் அவ்வளவுதான். இங்க தான ஒரு நிமிஷம் ஆகிடும்.
hide பண்ணிட்டு பண்ணு
இருக்கிறது கரெக்ட் பட் ஓகே
அவர் இருக்கார் அவர் ஏதோ பார்த்துட்டு இருக்காரு ஸ்கிரீன் ஷேரிங் பண்ணிருக்கோம் தெரியுதுங்களா
மேம் இன்னும் ஸ்கிரீன் ஷேர் ஆகல மேம்.
ஓ ஓகே வந்துட்டா
அபிஷேக் வர.
ஹலோ
யூடியூப் லிங்க் எனக்கு
Okay.
StreamYard இதுல பண்ண முடியாதா why your thing
I can't. I need the YouTube link. I don't know what the YouTube link is.
இது அமைச்சிருக்காரு கத்திக்காத காம்ப்ளிகேஷன்
That's a StreamYard. StreamYard will I will go here.
StreamYard
But I'm not presenting. I am a viewer. Need a YouTube link. Not StreamYard.
Sir and ma'am.
சொல்லுங்க ஹலோ குட் மார்னிங் சாரி குட் ஆஃப்டர்நூன்
Good afternoon, ma'am. Welcome. We are live now, and your screen is visible also to us. So I hope everything is fine. Your side too.
it's yeah I'm okay so do I start
We'll just wait, ma'am. We're just circulating the link so that our participants can join in. So
Okay.
we'll just wait for another 5 minutes.
okay okay can you also send me that YouTube link to me so that I can share it in my phone
Oh yeah, sure, ma'am. Do I?
Ma'am, I'll send.
okay sir
Ma'am, I'll send.
okay thank you கார்த்திக் இது எப்படி பெருசு பண்றது to make it bigger அவ்வளவுதான் வருமா
ஒரு நிமிஷம் கேளு.
only the PowerPoint okay இன்னொருத்துல வந்துட்டா the lighting okay? Lighting is fine, right? Lighting okay work இல்லைங்களா?
Okay, ma'am. Okay, ma'am. Lighting okay, that's okay. No problem. No question.
Tamal sir?
ಇದರ ಪಾತ್ರ ತಪ್ಪ.
Sir?
How do I?
Sir, if I have to add anyone or remove anyone from the stream, can you please tell me? I'll remove myself from the stream so that I won't be able to talk. But if I have to come inside or do any changes, could you please let me know?
Radhishree ma'am, Uttara ma'am.
Should I add Rajeshree ma'am and Uttara ma'am?
Radhishree, yes. Radhishree ma'am. Yes.
Okay. Radheshri ma'am's, I guess her internet is not stable because her device is not connected. I've added Uttara ma'am into the stream.
Okay. Can you check?
Yeah, sir.
Sadia ma'am intanga. Ashita, Radhishree ma'am.
Sir, 1 minute, let me check. No, ma'am, no wireless, sir.
Okay,
Uttara ma'am is here, but
Sir, I think she's experiencing some network errors. Could you please let her know?
Yeah. Ma'am is calling. Varingla ma'am. அப்படிங்களா? ஆமா, ஹாய் சுபா, நீங்க வந்துருக்கீங்க. Hi, ma'am. So Rajeshri ma'am has come.
Sir,
Hello.
I'm not able to add her in the. Sir, I'm not able to add her in the stream, sir. Could you ask her to check her internet connection, please?
அப்படியா ஆனா chat பண்றாங்க.
Okay, we've lost her again.
அப்படியா சரி ஓகே தென் மேம் என்ன சொல்லிட்டாங்கன்னா அது முடியல ஆடியோ வரலன்னா நம்ம ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ண சொல்லிட்டாங்க வில் ஸ்டார்ட் நவ் பிகாஸ் ஆல்மோஸ்ட் 3:13 ஆயிடுச்சு ஸோ வில் ஸ்டார்ட் நவ்
Kavya,
Yes, Archita.
if ma'am has come in, I just wanted to check.
Please use the private chat. ஹலோ மேம்
Hello.
மேம் பண்ணிடுங்க
Ah,
ஹர்ஷிதா
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I've seen.
ஹர்ஷிதா உத்தராமண்டல் வெல்கம்
Yeah, sir. I've seen. Yes.
வில் ஸ்டார்ட் ஐ திங்க் வில் ஸ்டார்ட் செகண்ட் செஷன்
Okay. We're beginning. Kavya, you can share the screen. Good afternoon, everybody. A warm welcome once again to the webinar on mental health and lifestyle modifications during COVID-19 pandemic, organized by the PSG CAS Center for Health and Wellness Club. It gives us immense pleasure in welcoming each one of you all on behalf of the PSG College of Arts and Science Management to this webinar. Before we begin the session, we express our regrets for the inconvenience caused you all in the previous session due to some unexpected technical issues. We've tried our best to rectify the same, and we hope to give you a better learning experience in this session sans the technical difficulties. So now we begin the second session with Mrs. Subha Ramachandran. She will be addressing us on the topic lifestyle modifications for better health. I now request Dr. L. Utra, Head, Department of Nutrition and Dietetics, PSG College of Arts and Science, Coimbatore, to deliver the welcome address.
Hello, everyone. I'm happy to welcome the dietitian. Hello, I'm Ramachandran. She's a currently working at Trillium Health Partners Canada. She has more than 14 years of work experience for South Asian population in Canada. Subha is passionate about using her motivational interviewing skills to actively engage clients and devices suitable programs for bringing change by motivation. She's our alumnus, and we are really proud to have her today as the resource person for this webinar. Welcome, Subha.
Thank you,
I
ma'am.
welcome all the participants for this.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, the session is now yours.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Utra ma'am, for a lovely introduction and welcome speech. So good afternoon, everybody. It gives me immense pleasure to join you all on a Sunday afternoon on a very interesting topic, which is the strategies for healthy lifestyle modification during COVID situation. I know it's very uncertain, but still it gives us sort of hope and a lot of positivity when we are kind of connected through technology across the world. And so I'll try to make it as interesting as possible. And we start with the agenda for today would be like, I'll give you a small introduction, like just about myself and what is a change, and then immunity, then an infodemic, and then connecting the dots and the tips and the tricks. So starting with a small introduction about me. I am a proud PSG CAS alumni from Coimbatore. So I'm trying to kind of get the new pronunciation for our Coimbatore, but anyhow, it's still always a pleasure to be a Coimbatorian. My passion and journey in the field of nutrition actually started way from 1987 at the Department of Nutrition and Dietetics, and I dedicate to this webinar to all my PhD professors and mentors. And my hobbies are, I'm very quite, my other passion is different music, both classical and Ilayaraja songs. All right, so I have a small disclaimer here. It's a normal disclaimer as part of my webinar today. And let's jump in to what's the change. Okay, so how has the pandemic changed our lives? So it looks like more like this, very uncertain and unprecedented. Having said that, so what are the things that is pretty new to us? So things that are pretty new to us is number one, we can see that boring because we are all quarantined, kind of. And number 2 is working from home. That's a big change. And you can see the shelves empty. So there is food availability shortage, and also panic buying and online shopping. So many factors have changed our lives in terms of shopping for grocery. And when you talk about the quarantine, yes, so the quarantine is, as I mentioned, it's just locked down for our own benefits. And of course, the affected. So all this has kind of taken away our daily routine that we're used to. So in terms of, the eating time, sleeping time, and because everybody's home, and so the clock has kind of slightly switched, or I would say the routine is kind of messed up a little bit. And of course, this quarantine doesn't give us much opportunity to kind of go out and exercise or do any kind of physical activity is kind of restricted. So all these have been the current implications of the COVID-19. So of course, the physical activity I was talking about. All right, so what has been the challenges and what are the implications? So boredom, the continuous inpouring of the pandemic news. Whenever we open, like when you see any news channel, there is a constant inflow of this pandemic news, and that leads to a lot of stress, right? Because you keep hearing about the numbers going up and other people we lose. So it's very emotional as well as very stressful. And of course, there is interrupted routine. All this has shown to increase intake of macronutrients. So when I'm talking about macronutrients, it's the carbohydrates, proteins, and fat. Because the stress is directly proportional to our food intake. That may also be in terms of overeating. So probably our portions have gone out. And also indulgence in comfort food, because the comfort food is is more like pleasure, like gives us temporary relief, escapism from the reality or the current situation. And also, when people are stressed, it's again a very normal way of where we're looking for the sugary foods, and the desire to consume a specific kind of foods is called the food craving. And the food cravings we can classify that into emotional, behavioral, cognitive, and psychological. So in the sense that an intense desire to eat one particular food or any kind of food, then seeking food, doesn't matter. So I'm here, after 10 minutes, I go open my fridge, again looking for food. So this is a kind of a grazing pattern, what we call it as, and thoughts about food. So even I'm just having my lunch, and then I'm already thinking about my next meal or snack. So this is a kind of a coping kind of a thing towards a coping strategy for to deal with stress. And of course, the psychological is the food cravings around, as I was talking about, craving for either salty foods or sugary foods. But to put it in a big umbrella, it will be more like those high calorie foods. So a change in our lifestyle. So what does these lead to? So craving for carbohydrate-rich foods may serve as an anti-stress medication through serotonin production that in turn has a positive effect on our mood. So that's the link between why we crave for a specific carbohydrate-rich foods. On a low mood times, the carbohydrate craving can be proportional to the glycemic index of food. So what does that mean? So the lower the mood, the higher glycemic index I'm going to eat. So what are high glycemic index? Are those highly processed, sugary, white foods It's because it doesn't take much time for it to digest, and I get the sugar spike right away. So that's the that's the kind of the physiology behind how the low mood is kind of proportional to the glycemic index. And unhealthy food choices may be a precursor, and these ones may be a precursor for developing obesity, with other health conditions like diabetes, heart disease, lung disease that have been demonstrated to increase the risk for more serious complications of COVID. So we also get into a dangerous vicious cycle of stress, sleep disturbances, and increased food intake. So it's kind of a vicious cycle. But is this all dark and is it all so gloomy? Not necessarily. We will talk about the most recent, I think the first one of the survey that was released on eating habits and lifestyle changes during COVID-19 lockdown, an Italian survey. So this is just released hot. So you can see this is, I just put up only this picture because this gives us just a bird's eye view of what has been the food choices of course, it was done online. So it has some limitations. However, it just gives us a kind of an understanding of what had been the food choices of the people during quarantine in Italy. So the one that is in dark line indicates the increased intake, and the lighter one is the reduced intake. And the one that catches our eye right away is the homemade sweets. You can see that that's the. So I can kind of connect it because when I see it in the Facebook, when I see in the WhatsApp, I see people posting a lot of pictures, trying out different cakes and pastries, sweets. Of course, I mean, I don't want to be kind of very stereotyped here. There are people trying out other recipes, healthy recipes too. But again, having said that, I do not like to label foods as good and bad. But having said that, looks like we are more into kind of choosing more the homemade, like as I said, towards the more sugary stuff, is simply because probably we are also experiencing the similar, the emotions around mood with regards to the quarantine, the stress, and our food intake. And hot beverages, so possibly your home, so there's a lot more coffee, tea going in there. As well as in the Italian study, they could see that there were also, there was a slight decrease around the fresh fruits and vegetables. Probably that could be because of the availability, online shopping, and other things that kind of played around the budget and so on. And also we could see that there was a decrease around the meat and then the poultry, and of course the other one you can see is the fresh vegetables and the fruits that is on the lower side. But so it kind of gives us a sense of what it's like the eating pattern of the people during their quarantine. Okay, so let's start from the basic. Let's try to understand, okay, so this is all the situation is. So as I said, it's all gloomy. So is there a light at the end of the tunnel? Yes, there is. So let's talk about that. Now the brighter side. And so let's talk from the little bit, understand what's the basic, like immunity. So immunity is the building the internal defenses. So what does that mean? So how does the immunity work? It's the most complex bodily system in us that protects the host, that is us, from pathogenic organisms like bacteria, viruses, fungi, and parasites. The one thing to remember is that it cannot be modified acutely by a specific nutritional intervention. So nothing quick fix, it's not going to work. At the same time, we cannot boost our immune system as different factors can affect our immune system. So what is it? It goes back to the first point where it says that it's pretty complex. So you cannot boost it only through your diet. However, the good news is that we can support the immune system, and how we could do that? Through food, through diet, healthy lifestyle. Now, what are the factors on immune system? So what are the effective factors on immune system? So that is the immunosenescence. So that is the immune competency could be lost in the aging population, making them more susceptible to infections of the respiratory tract. And the obesity, so naturally that again is a has shown, there are many studies, the evidences around how obesity is linked to reduced or suppressed immune system, low-grade inflammation with increased oxidative stress due to unhealthy lifestyle that we were talking about, right? High-calorie foods, processed foods. So those can lead to increased oxidative stress. So increased oxidative stress, as you know right away, that it causes aging of the cells, right? And could lead to the development of non-communicable diseases. So, and that are, as we know, some of them are diabetes, high blood pressure, heart disease, liver disease, neurodegeneration, and some cancers. Of course, the excessive alcohol and chronic stress, lack of sleep. So probably you can see that how complicated. So there is a mixture of factors that has a role that we kind of, it's not, we cannot just fix it only through food. However, healthy lifestyle in turn can help us to reduce the risk for developing these non-communicable chronic diseases, which reduce inflammation, which in turn can kind of support our immune system. So ways to support immune system is the positive lifestyle behaviors like managing our stress, eating a variety of foods, and quitting smoking can help to support our immune system. And healthy lifestyle has also shown to provide an ongoing support to the immune system and may even delay the natural gradual deterioration of the immune system as we get older. So this is what I was talking about, reducing the risk. So of incidents like developing type 2 diabetes. So by following the healthy lifestyle, you can reduce the oxidative stress, and which in turn you can also support the immune inflammation, reduce inflammation, and subsequently the natural gradual deterioration of the immune system as we get older. And that plays a very important role and is catching up a lot of attention around. We are trying to understand more and more about the importance of how our gut and health are so closely connected to each other. And the gut produces the antimicrobial proteins, and it plays a key role in our in keeping our immune system pretty in good shape. So the immune system is always active, so we have to understand that. And but the acting requires, like any other activity, it requires energy, right? And where do we get energy? Energy is where ultimately it is derived from our healthy lifestyle. So what is infodemic? This is the new word coined by WHO, and it's more about an overabundance of information. So there is so much of information that we are getting from all various sources, and some accurate and some not so accurate. And that makes it hard for people to find trustworthy sources and reliable guidance when they need it. So it's kind of a tough situation, and that's where how we can kind of mitigate this kind of infodemic is by asking yourself a question like, whatever the information am I getting, is it a trustworthy source? Is it from a credible source? And also double checking with your healthcare provider or your doctor in order to verify that whatever the information that you have got, again, at an individual level, is that applicable, and not just blindly taking in all the information that's being served to us. So there are some research on the herbal supplements to boost immunity. There are many more, but the key ones that I came across with some research backing. The first one is Echinacea, and I see that there have been some studies available to show that Echinacea has destroyed the influenza virus. However, the human studies are inconclusive. So there is not enough evidence to support that it's whether it has any supportive or a beneficial effect by taking it. The second one is our garlic, which we use it on a day-to-day basis. But however, when it's treated more or been promoted as more as a supplement, we got to be cautious around that. Why so? Because the active ingredient, which is the allicin sativum, proposed to have an antiviral and antimicrobial properties, lack high quality clinical trials comparing garlic supplements to placebo. However, Cochrane review of only one trial following the 146 participants taking garlic supplements to 3 months have fewer occurrences of common cold than those taking a placebo. But after contracting cold virus, both group had no difference. Like there was no difference in this, or they had the similar duration of the illness. So it didn't really taking supplements, the garlic supplements for over 3 months did not really give us any evidence of its benefits. So it looks like, irrespective of whether you took the supplement or not, after contracting the cold, it was almost the same. So then that brings us to an understanding that just including enough like garlic in our food would be good enough to keep us making use of the active ingredient, which has the allicin sativum, to having with the microbial and antimicrobial properties. And then the last one is the T catechins. So the human trials in that is still limited. So what are T catechins? Are found in the green tea. So you heard more about, drink green tea, it's good for you. There are many benefits. Yes, so there are some studies around even prevention of type 2 diabetes, obesity, weight loss. But again, when it comes to preventing flu and cold virus, when two randomized controlled trials found green tea capsules produced less cold flu symptoms or incidence of flu than a placebo. However, the limitation of the study was that they were funded and had authors affiliations with tea industry. So, that's again, whenever we look at your study, when you look at so many findings, it's important to look at funding and who has conducted the study, how many participants, and so on. So not just, and that's where the professionals like the healthcare providers, your dietitians, your doctors, they come in to help you in understanding or breaking down the research results or conclusions into simple, understandable, and with understanding them in more, in understanding them to see if it really is it credible? Is it how reliable are these study evidences are, and also understanding the limitations of the study, right? Although it may be credible, but there may be some limitations. So taking all these, the evidences with a grain of salt is always a good way to approach any new clinical trials or findings. All right, so connecting the dots. So nutrition plus immunity. So I can see how complex it is. So we are trying to pull together the different wires in order to understand, okay, how am I kind of going to get anything out of this? All right. So I have something to kind of a funny cartoon. So I'm afraid of that caring about what's healthy to eat and drinking has sent your cortisol levels sky high. So, so sometimes it's quite in reality, I see that in my practice that healthy eating itself is kind of seen as a stressful kind of a chore, and it is in this age it's definitely has become somewhat true statement. Why so? Because we have moved a long way away from our usual normal way of eating, and many factors for good, not so good. The only thing is, at the individual levels and in the population level, it's pretty important to always take some time to look at how far have we moved in the spectrum. All right, so role of nutrition in immunity, that gives, this is actually the core part of our presentation. So you will see the whole lot of nutrients which support our kind of in improving our immunity, like supporting our immunity. It doesn't boost up, but it supports immunity. So there are some key ones. The first one being vitamin A, and why I have given all the dietary sources, including so as the vitamin A, beta carotene. So all the yellow and orange colored fruits and vegetables are good sources of vitamin A. And they are, vitamin A is an antioxidant, and we were talking about inflammation. So anti-inflammatory, less oxidative stress. So our immunity is kind of supported. So milk, cheese, eggs, liver, oily fish like salmon, tuna, mackerel, and then fortified cereals, any of those dark orange and green colored. So the colorful they are, the better. And of course, apricots, peaches, papaya, mango, can't be without talking about mango, cantaloupes, and all the melons, and tomato juice. Having said tomato juice, it could be even the tomatoes, right? All the green leafy vegetables. Then we come to vitamin B6, fish, poultry, meat, eggs, whole grains, many vegetables. Again, the soya beans, tofu are kind of a good source of vitamin B6. And then vitamin B12. You know that vitamin B12 usually we get only from the animal sources. And those are the fish, meat, some shellfish, milk, cheese, eggs, fortified breakfast cereals, and yeast extract. So when we're talking about the supplements, the vegetarians may need B12. But however, it has to be kind of after testing, doing your blood work. First, understand whether you need it. It's a water-soluble vitamin, yes, but still did not take it, need it. So, but usually because we get B12 only from the animal sources, most of the vegetarians usually need some B12 supplement on and off. And then we talk about the folate. So the folate is again the heme that we get from the broccoli, Brussels sprouts, green leafy vegetables, peas, then chickpeas, fortified cereals. So these are, as you know, that they are the vegetarian sources. So their bioavailability is definitely not that much as like that of from the animal sources. Then vitamin C, or yes, the oranges. So vitamin C is again an antioxidant, and there has been a lot of things that against the cold virus to taking vitamin C supplements. I'll kind of touch a little bit on that as well. So oranges and orange juice, red and green peppers, strawberries, blackcurrants, kiwi, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, potatoes. So all these are vitamin C sources. Then I'm talking about the vitamin C supplements. Yes, there are some studies which shows that it is kind of has a role to play around the, reducing the effect of, or helping with reducing the impact of whole virus. However, when along in a and a kind of a meta-analysis, nothing has kind of come out concrete around vitamin C supplements. The best one is definitely to have that from food sources. And of course, there are therapeutic supplements. If the doctor, based on your medical condition, feels that you need some vitamin C supplements, like for example, some people take iron supplements and they need some vitamin C with that in order to promote absorption of iron. So in those cases, yes, it is kind of given to people. But again, boiling down to the best source is definitely the dietary sources. Vitamin D, oily fish, liver, eggs, fortified foods. Then we have the liver, eggs, and of course the vitamin D is a sun vitamin. And India is a tropical country with lots of sunlight. But of course, we have to be mindful about about when is a good time to have some sun exposure, like exposed to sun, to get some vitamin D. I did read about kind of 15 minutes midday would be kind of an ideal thing to get some vitamin D during pandemic. But however, the evidences are not very conclusive around that. So again, if you are kind of vitamin D, if you need some vitamin D supplements, it's something to consider. And 1000 IU is what is kind of recommended. And when we talk about vitamin E, there are many, we get it from many vegetable oils, again, an antioxidant, nuts and seeds, wheat germ in cereals. And when I'm talking about ADEK, we have to be careful about in terms of supplements. Why so? Because these are fat-soluble vitamins and they're stored in our liver. So we got to be careful around supplementation. And that's why it's better to first try to get it from your food, and also getting for vitamin D. It is also shown that vitamin D supplements are much more effective in people who are deficient in vitamin D rather than people who already are having good amount of vitamin D in their system. It's not so beneficial. So always kind of, as I said, a therapeutic having a word with your doctor about whether you need it, not need it, is pretty important. And then we talk about zinc. There's a lot of talk about zinc, the most important mineral in terms of immunity. And we get it from shellfish, meat, cheese, some grains and seeds, cereals, seeded or whole grain breads. So you can see that, and because these are micro minerals, we do not need a whole lot. So we can easily try to get, if we eat a balanced meal, we are able to kind of get all these minerals and the vitamins, antioxidants, pretty much to meet our day-to-day requirements. Then we talk about selenium. So selenium is another one that's quite closely linked to immunity. So we talk about fish, shellfish, meat, eggs, some nuts, usually Brazil nuts are good source of selenium. Iron, we all know the animal sources, the heme, meat, liver, beans, nuts, dried fruits, and whole grains, fortified cereals, and most dark green leafy vegetables, the spinach and the kale. Of course, the animal sources are much more, the iron from animal sources are much more bioavailable to us than the plant sources. Of course, in order to get the iron available to our body from the plant sources is to have it with some acidic medium. So what it is, cooking the green leafy vegetables with some tomatoes or lime juice have shown to help in absorption of iron better, or more available to the body. When we talk about copper, so shellfish, nuts, liver, and some vegetables, and essential amino acids, and that is the meat, poultry, fish, eggs, milk, and cheese, soya, nuts, and seeds, and all the pulses. So we know that pulses are good sources of all the amino acids and good soluble fiber, and it's also a good source of carbohydrate, which is a low glycemic index. So we were talking about the high glycemic index, its impact on the oxidative stress and inflammation, whereas the low glycemic index foods, the carbohydrates, include the pulses, the beans. Those are amazing low glycemic index foods, which are take longer time to get digested and turn into sugar, and gives adequate amino acids, pretty balanced. And the best example we can think of is pongal. So pongal is a combination of rice and pulses. It's an amazing way of getting all the essential amino acid balance that our body needs. And then, of course, the long chain omega-3 fatty acids. Again, omega-3 fatty acids, we get it from oily fish. We get oily fish like salmon, tuna, mackerel, and herring, tuna. So these are some of the cold water fish. Omega-3s, as you know, is again has anti-inflammatory properties. And the plant sources are the ground flax seeds and walnuts, olive oil, canola oil are good sources of omega-3. So as I was talking about, there's a lot of thing around the gut, the relationship between the gut and the immunity. So role of nutrition in the immunity, the probiotics. So reduced risk of respiratory infection is reported in 1,072 healthy old participants who consumed probiotics through fermented dairy products for 3 months. And the thing is, the probiotic foods, you can when we talk about gut health, we usually talk about probiotic foods and prebiotic. So prebiotic foods create a good medium for our body to make those, have the probiotic more available to our body, like helps to help the good microorganisms to thrive in order for us to have better immunity. And so when we talk about probiotic foods, they are the kefir, so it's a Russian yogurt that, I mean, nothing but the thyroid, right? Or would that be homemade yogurt with active cultures, and of course the pickles, some of our pickles, and then kombucha tea. Kimchi, it's a Korean cabbage, miso. It's a fermented soya beans, and of course how can we miss on our food? That's idli. That's fermented rice and dal, and so that's the probiotic food list. And when we talk about prebiotic foods, they're the garlic, onions, leeks, asparagus, artichokes, bananas, and other fruits and vegetables, beans and whole grains. So these are, so any high fiber foods are definitely serve as a good medium for the thriving of those good gut bacteria. So a national role of nutrition in immunity. A National Institute of Aging sponsored a randomized trial of 2-year caloric restriction regimen in healthy humans that revealed that slowing of biological aging as evidenced by reduced cardiovascular risk biomarkers, lower levels of pro-inflammatory cytokines, which has been associated with decline in the body mass. So when we are talking about the nutrition and immunity, right? So calorie restriction, that's what I was talking about. We are not moving that much. Probably through our disturbed routine, our calorie intake has kind of a little bit more than what we require. And that definitely has a role in to play in terms of increasing obesity or predisposing our risk for developing those like diabetes or heart disease and cancers and so on. So and this study was pretty kind of encouraging in terms of where it has shown that when 2 years of calorie restriction, this has kind of helped in not only by reducing the cardiovascular risk and also the inflammatory response and also the total body fat body mass, right? And the Mediterranean diet has shown, so that's another one key thing is the Mediterranean diet, which is nothing but consisting of good amount of vegetables, fruits, herbs, nuts, beans, and whole grains. And so there are meals built around the plant-based foods, right? And of course moderate, and of course it includes fish, moderate amount of fish, and which also includes some fish, as I said, the cold water fish and fish oils, and the moderate amounts of dairy, poultry, and eggs, with red meat eaten occasionally. So there are some various evidences around to support the effectiveness of Mediterranean diet on supporting the immune system, anti-inflammatory, and also reducing the risks of developing those non-communicable diseases. So let's talk about, okay, so so far, we are quite kind of, I think we were familiar with, okay, I know we have to eat well, I have to eat balanced meals, I have to include lots of fruits and vegetables, yes, but how do I do that, right? So let's talk about some tips and tricks. I'm just sharing some of the brainstorming thing that we did around, and based on some of the research that people like trying out, and some of the tricks that include are, the first one is following a healthy plate model. So what is a healthy plate model? It's a very simple tool to kind of adopt. So whenever we talk healthy eating, it's a broad spectrum. So it's at the individual level. As a dietitian, I'm sure my colleagues would also agree with me on so-called the prescriptive diets or various restrictive diets are not sustainable. I know whenever a client comes to me, they look for something like a prescription to be given, like in terms of, okay, what do we eat? What is good? Okay, what are the breakfast, lunch, and dinner? What are the foods to eat? Give me some choices. Okay, I'll try. But somehow it is not sustainable because nobody understands your life, your lifestyle, your food likes and dislikes, your culture better than yourself. So you have, each one of us, we have the capacity, we have the ability to understand our body, improve our healthy eating, like wherever you fall in the spectrum. So it's not to be kind of like, oh my God, okay, my plate doesn't look like this, and straight away I jump to this. I'm not sure whether that's going to work. No, it's about, okay, so this is what is the guideline or suggested plate model. Where does mine sit here? So how do I progress slowly or make changes, slow baby steps, in order for me to achieve where I want to be? So every small change in the positive direction around a healthy lifestyle is beneficial. So that's what we say, a weight loss, we do not go by the ideal body weight, not those, the BMI alone is not, it's just one of the indicators of health. So what is important is 5 to 10% weight loss of your current weight. So why I'm saying that is because each one of us, we have our weight is different. So we have to work on an individual level rather than going with just blindly with the guideline. Right? oh no, I have to lose 50 pounds, 60 pounds. No, that doesn't work. It's more around what is realistic goals. So when we are talking about realistic SMART goals, one thing is to start working small baby steps. And as I said, so what is this healthy plate indicates is that half of my plate filled with vegetables. Of course, you can see that fruits also is included here. But I usually like kind of insist like the fruit can be saved for the snack time. I'll touch base a little bit on the snack and the treat part, which comes up quite often in my practice. So half of the plate filled with vegetables and quarter of my plate filled with grains. So it can be rice, it can be idli, it can be dosa, it can be upma, pongal, any of those, right? But quarter plate. And then the other quarter is your protein. So it can be your sambar, right? It can be some dal chutney, or yogurt, any of that. But having said that, okay, always our plate doesn't look like this. We eat combination foods, right? We do not always have this portion like protein, and because in a Western diet, yes, it's possible, but not in an Indian, especially South Indian, we eat combination foods like pongal. So it already the rice and the dal is kind of mixed up. So in that case, I look for nothing beyond a half a plate, and the plate size again. If I'm using a bigger plate, dinner like a lunch plate or dinner plate, let me look for something a smaller size, because that will give me an illusion that I'm having quite satisfied. I get satiety, right? Because the eyes is the one that perceives the portions first, and where the digestion starts in the mouth. So perception is so first the size of the plate and how I'm going to portion my carbohydrates and proteins is critical. And of course, the more the veggies, the better. Now, having said that, there's again a big thing about, okay, should I be eating cooked salads? It's everybody individual choice. Some people, like especially older adults, they prefer cooked vegetables over salads because of various chewing problems and swallowing problems. So it's better, like, and again, individual likes too. So having more, like whatever is the choice. I mean, you'll be surprised, like there are some studies to show that cooked spinach actually makes some of the nutrients more available to our body compared to raw spinach. So it's so, I mean, it's kind of, the ultimate goal is to make the food more interesting and more palatable, so that it's satisfying and enjoyable. So then when it says eat plenty of fruits of all colors. So plenty is a word to be used with caution. So usually 2 to 3 fruits a day is pretty, it's a pretty reasonable portion in order for us to meet our requirements for vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants, because we have to remember that they're also sources of natural sugar. So overdoing, as the say goes, anything more is not better. It's about portions, moderation. And so choosing water as the primary source of beverage, right, to quench our thirst. And of course, in South India, we have more probiotic, pretty good way of keeping yourself hydrated with nutrition benefits. Then, of course, the one thing is when I talk about the grains, it's not just going the rice thing, but also trying various whole grains like millets, using trying not hesitating to try other whole grains from other parts of the world, like quinoa, like barley, and then trying to have some bulgur wheat, which is nothing but our sambarava, right? And so those kinds of foods, in order for us to get the fiber, and as I said, low glycemic index, foods, and it fills you up more. And even the brown rice, so brown rice, wild rice, various varieties of rice that we can try in different recipes in order to, and sometimes even mixing half and half. So that also kind of helps to get us used to eating those, trying those new grains. Of course, the protein, when we talk about, so portion size of the protein is, as I said, for vegetarian sources are, like even if you are a non-vegetarian, 2 or 3 days in a week, eating like a vegetarian is pretty plant-based food is pretty helpful in terms of lowering the bad cholesterol. And also choosing, so some of those plant-based vegetarian sources can be cheese, it can be paneer, it can be our dal and pulses. So pulses and beans, so different kinds. How many kinds? Like more than 150 varieties. So try out all those, add them to different recipes in order to get the benefits. And as I said, they are soluble fiber, low glycemic index, good source of amino acids and protein, amino acids, that's proteins, and also they are kind of fills you up. It's very satisfying. So when we talk about the mindful eating techniques, so this is pretty critical. Why so? Because with the stress, with the quarantine, when as a family, how many of us eat as like a family meal without having any other medium playing? For example, TV, right? It could be TV, it could be some like computer, people are working and eating, or it could be either talking on the phone and eating. So all these can totally take away the pleasure, and also may lead to eating a little bit more portions than what we usually would eat. And that's because we are missing the cue between our stomach and the mind. The digestion, as I said, starts in the mouth. And once the chewing, the more you chew, the better, because you are sending those signals to your brain that, you know what, I've started eating. And that kind of, once you finish eating, you will have the satiety, and you will be able to also pay attention to how much you're eating, enjoy the flavor, every bite of the food, and enjoy the texture, different textures of food. So you're connecting literally with the stomach and the brain, paying attention. Attitude. So the attitude is not having any medium. So there is a news running about COVID-19 in the TV, and I'm here stressing out, and I'm just going on kind of like, and I'm eating, can totally cut off the channel of that, the signal channel between your stomach and your brain. And so that's why, what is mindful eating or eating technique is attention, attitude is mindful eating. So some of the thing is to, as I said, chewing more, sitting and shutting off all other medium, having specific time set up for eating your meals, and eating as a family together, using this moment to kind of share your experiences, share some happy moments with your children, with yourself, like with your family. So that's kind of a mindful eating. And number 3 is enjoying every bite, enjoying the texture, the flavor, enjoying the look of the food served. And also paying attention to, okay, what is the portion? Like, how much have I served myself? And in case I want another serving, asking myself, like, do I need another serving, or is that just, and it's more habitual, not hunger? Trying to figure that out. So that's the first step towards mindful eating. So the other one is the nudging theory. So what is nudging theory? It's a concept in behavioral economics, political theory, and behavioral sciences, which proposes positive reinforcement and indirect suggestions as ways to influence the behavior and decision making of groups or individuals. It has influential British and American politicians. So that's on the lighter side. Okay, so what is a nudging theory? Families working as a team. That's the bottom line, right? You are pushing each other towards. So this is the quarantine. Yes, we talked about the implications. We talked about some of the challenges, the barriers we are facing. However, the lighter or the brighter side of quarantine is we have a lot of time. Now we have come together as a family. We have a lot of time in terms of what I mean is to spend with each other, right? So it's a good strategy. It's a good time to kind of understand whatever you wanted to do. You had set some goals in the past for reasons of time, for the reasons of, not each one of them in their own schedule, not having the same schedule. Like all these would have not been helpful for you to achieve what you wanted to. But now it's a time where we can kind of look back at some of those goals we set in the past around health and work as a family. Set those goals can be as small as, you know what, as a family, we are going to start eating 2 fruits a day and asking like, what are the fruits in market? Does it work in the budget? Is it available online? So we have to look at availability of the foods too. So all those aspects, right? So figuring it out. So it can be like, I just gave an example. So it can be as simple as that. And then most important, when I say talk about families, we cannot miss on the hidden treasure of our grandparents. So I know now we are more nuclear families, but it's a good time to connect because we have some time now. Everybody's home. So try to kind of connect with your grandparent, grandmother, your mother, right? And get some traditional, time-tested, nutritious recipes. Nothing can beat those recipes. It's amazing. Like when I connect, I also took I have been making a collection of some of the traditional, my grandmother's, my mother's recipes in terms of how balanced now we are. Now we are talking nutritional science. Now there are evidences, but those recipes are already balanced, nutritious, and what we have to mind is just the portion control. Because we may not need that many calories like what they ate before because our physical activity is not the same. So that's the nudging theory, like pushing each other towards making those positive behavioral changes. As a family, it's very hard to do any change all by yourself. So when we work as a team, it's always easy. It's kind of workable. And then set a daily eating routine. That's critical. So how many of us sleep in? We don't sleep on, like, not having enough sleep, or we sleep in, miss our breakfast, the most critical and important meal of the day. Because that's where the body, because of the circadian rhythm or working with the circadian clock, with the light. So our body is kind of a body digestive juices, enzymes, hormones, they're all to be aligned with the daylight. And then different kinds of hormones and enzymes kick in when the daylight, like in the night. So avoiding late dinners, trying to eat within this, like in alignment with, that's what our ancestors did. So that's why, like a caveman, why just aligning ourselves, so having an eating routine for the family is again a healthy goal towards healthy eating and getting enough nutrition, right? And then making a grocery list. And again, as I said, based on developing a meal plan, like taking just a week. Okay, what are the ones you do? Either you can do 2 ways. Because of the quarantine, the foods available, we can only buy the ones that's available. So you do your grocery shopping and you bring it home. Then you look at it. Okay, this is all I have here for a week to last me for a week or 2 weeks. How do I manage this? How do I make it balanced? Coming up with some meal plan Planning is very, very critical in terms of healthy eating, because once the planning is not there, then we're not able to kind of eat a balanced meal. And also in terms of budgeting, because budgeting again is any day it has been important, but now with the the economic we have to consider the other social determinants, right? Economic state factors. So considering that, it's important to kind of plan, and then stock your kitchen. As for some of the vegetables may be like seasonal. Bring them, clean it. If you can, freeze them and store them in your fridge for you to use at next week or the later date. So stocking again, that comes again when you are kind of planning it. And then of course cooking those 2-in-1 meals. So it doesn't have to be an elaborate one. Their one-pot meal has been pretty easy, where you have your grain, you have your protein, and you have your vegetables thrown in there, and you can make. And the best one, as I mentioned, is the pongal, khichdi. Those are pretty wholesome, and even our idli and upma, those are kind of poha. Those are pretty balanced meals. So that's about some of the strategies for a healthy lifestyle. And most important, so we talked so much about food, but we cannot, it's not complete when we talk about healthy lifestyle without talking about physical activity. So with COVID, the physical activity is definitely restricted. We're not able to go out. We live in apartments, so the space availability is pretty much a challenge. And people who had been going to the gym also kind of has stopped. So all our activities, so we are just quarantined, right? So what do we do under such situation? So we do have again some of our Indian based like the exercises like yoga, so breathing exercises. It's going to de-stress, strengthen your lungs, good oxygen supply. Like again, as a team, as a family, fix a time where you all can come together, and whatever time works for you. So coming together to do yoga can be some stretching exercises, some resistant band exercises. So when I talk about resistant band exercises, it can be even those elastic bands. So those ones, because you're using those large muscles, so those can be used. And you can do, if you kind of Google resistant band exercises, a whole lot of exercises are available, where by just sitting in your chair, you can do it. Since you're working from home, we are all sitting all the time, and there are studies and evidences to show that when we sit more than an hour in one place without moving, it's worse than smoking. So that's the detrimental effect on our health when we sit in one place without moving for more than an hour. So just ensuring that every 45 minutes or something, or you stand up and you stretch yourself, go, like if you're able to kind of walk even inside the house, or do some stretching exercise, push-ups. Just doing some push-ups and any of those exercises are kind of doable in such a situation. And regular participation, these are some of the evidences around that. Regular participation in physical activity is non-invasive, mostly cost-neutral, anti-immunosenescence, excuse me for that, and anti-inflammatory therapy. Regular exercises has also been reported to increase cellular immune function and is likely to strengthen resistance against infections and cancer. Maintaining and enhancing physical strength by exercise is therefore not only important for the prevention and improvement of metabolic syndrome. So, the metabolic syndrome is a precursor for developing type 2 diabetes and heart disease. Most important. So people with pre-diabetes are more with metabolic syndrome have shown higher risk for developing heart disease. So preserving immune and also age-related diseases for preserving the effective immune function. Chronic inflammation may be considered as a disease resulting from civilization society. So that's where the inflammation that I was talking about from the sugary foods, from the highly processed foods, junk foods that are easily digested, our body can. The simple way to kind of define inflammatory foods would be those foods that are easily the body can digest. Our sugar intake, salt, along with the white highly processed foods can be a precursor for inflammation, and the inflammation being the baseline for developing any other chronic health conditions. So chronic inflammation may be considered as a disease resulting from civilization society, in particular from overeating and physical inactivity. The anti-inflammatory effects of exercise are becoming better understood as being effective for preventing chronic inflammation. So exercise, any small, again, like if I am at 0 and not doing any activity, even moving to 1 is beneficial. It doesn't have to be 10 right away. So even moving to 1 makes a big difference. All right, so it's time to kind of our last session, we are almost at the end. So it's the final food for thought. During this uncertain quarantine-related situational stress, having nutritious home-cooked meals becomes a priority with, of course, moderation. And plan to buy and cook meals that are good sources of immunosupportive nutrients, having regular meal times, family, practicing mindful eating, and taking breaks for exercises, even within the house with a positive attitude, could be helpful to tackle the negative health effects of quarantine. Thank you so much for listening. And now the floor is open for questions. Thank you. And these are my references. Like if in case you want to go and read more in detail, please.
Thank you, ma'am. Can we get to the question and answer session now?
Yes, please.
Yeah, participants, you all can start posting in your questions for our resource person in the chat. Ma'am, we have one question from Ramya Raji. She's asking, how does echinacea boost our immunity?
How does? Okay, so as I mentioned, there is not much. Human studies has been inconclusive, so they do not. So there is. I would like to mention this, answer this question in 2 parts. Number 1 is there is no foods or supplement to boost our immune system. So it's a total myth that there are claims if any supplement has been claimed to boost our immunity. It's totally a myth. As per the World Health Organization, we can only support the immunity in order to kind of fight the disease, but not boost up. That's number 1. Number 2, echinacea has not, there have been no human trials, and even there have been couple, but they have been very inconclusive. So it will be not, the best thing would be to kind of not go with the claims, but rather focus on healthy eating.
Thank you, ma'am. Next, we have Meenakshi Manoja. She has asked, is there any foods for vegetarian to get omega-3?
Yes. So we do, but definitely, just like iron, it's not the plant sources are not as bioavailable as the animal sources. But having said that, the plants, the vegetarian source of omega-3 are walnuts, ground flax seeds, and canola oil. Of course, there is omega-3 supplements too from spirulina, algae, that you can also get the omega-3 from. So these are the vegetarian sources of omega-3.
Yeah. Next we have Nirmala Nima. How much would be the nutrient content of frozen food?
Okay, so the frozen foods are definitely they are harvested. They are equally nutritious sometimes as the fresh foods. Why so? Because they are right away harvested and they are packed. So they are the nutrition is not lost in transportation, in storage. So definitely they are equally as nutritious as fresh, sometimes even more nutritious than fresh foods. And it also gives us an opportunity to eat foods that are not seasonal, right? So I was talking about, like, if you find some seasonal fruits and vegetables that are cheaper, get them, clean them, do the processing, and store them in the freezer. They are nutritious.
Yeah. Next we have Suchitra Patil. She's asking us about the best probiotic in rainy season.
Okay, so probably the rainy season is because, okay, if it's rainy, how can I have fire, right? So as I said, idli, right? So idli is a good probiotic. Any fermented food, but again, it's a myth that if it's rainy season, I cannot have yogurt because of the mucus. And no, there is no evidence, clinical evidence around not having the curd or the yogurt in rainy season. So yogurt is definitely the best probiotic, homemade, and also I said the idli. And of course, I'm not sure about the probiotics that is available in pharmacy in India. I'm sorry about that. I'm not quite familiar with that. But here we do have some probiotics that's available to take with those balanced probiotic to meet your body's requirement.
Yeah. Next we have Miss Abhirami Balasubramanian. Her question is, what are the benefits of flax seeds and chia seeds? Will it be useful for weight loss?
Very good. Very good question. Thank you. So flax seeds, as I mentioned, is a good source of omega-3. The flax seed is better available to the body when it is ground, because the skin of the flax seed is pretty tough, and there are some, foods, the ready-to-eat foods, where I see that flaxseed crackers, flaxseed breads, flaxseed cereals, and so on. However, please do not pay that premium price, because flaxseed in its own, our body may not digest it because of its tough skin. Your body is not able to break it down. So the best thing would be to use it ground. And once, because it's an oily seed, when you grind it, it's best stored in the fridge and not outside, because it may go rancid. And also, because it's a high source of omega-3 and fiber, the more to say fiber, you have to start it very slow and not altogether, like one or like 2 tablespoons, just like that, because what happens is when we suddenly increase fiber, our body doesn't accept it, may have some intolerance, like in terms of bloating, constipation, and so on. So you have to start it very slow. That's number one. 2 2 tablespoons have shown to kind of meet our requirement for omega-3 and fiber. And number 3 is whenever you are increasing the fiber, the other one, the friend is water. So it's very important to keep yourself hydrated whenever you're having any kind of ground flour, like any kind of fiber. If we talk about chia seeds are good sources of protein, calcium, vitamins and minerals. So it's a awesome food. Again, so when we talk about that, the portion starting slow because the chia seeds actually swells. So what the best thing is to let it soak in overnight in the fridge, or if it's like you soak it in the morning, you can have it in the evening. So you can kind of why so? Because it's very filling in the terms of, and it is nutritious. So mixing the chia seeds with some milk and fruit can be a good snack. Or if you're looking for, like, I'm not too hungry in the morning for a breakfast person, this can be a good breakfast wherein you can have the chia seeds, like as I said, even thrown into your mold, right, into your buttermilk, and having that can be, and making it like, if you like salty, you can have it salty. If you like it sweet, sweeten it with natural fruits in order to get the benefits. And of course, so having said that, weight loss, again, chia seeds alone is not, let's not pick on calling anything, let's not label any foods in terms of like superfoods. Why so? Because we're looking at eating more wholesome meals. When we're talking about weight loss is something that we have to achieve through healthy eating. So weight loss is a very complex, just like immunity I was talking about, weight loss is a very complicated, complex topic or condition. Actually, when we talk about obesity, it's declared as a chronic disease actually. So it's not as calorie in and calorie out equation. It's very complex. So having said that, that's why there's a switch in our approach towards not just weight loss, towards healthy lifestyle, because we do not just go on talking about just using only weight as one of the indicator, but improving our health profile.
Ma'am, the next question is, they've asked if protein powder helps for increasing immunity.
Very good question. Okay, so the protein powders, the market is loaded with those protein powders. Recently, there had been some concerns around the metal content of those protein powders. Having said that, probably in the future, I would, or later, I would share about how by just eating our regular, your meals and fruits and balanced meals, we can meet our protein requirement, right? It's also a myth that if I go to the gym and I take a protein supplement, I'm going to build on the muscles. It's not the case. It's just a myth. It's been a kind of a gimmick by those, the protein in the market, right? But having said that, what is important is to have balanced meals. Just to give you an think and understanding, our body, and as an adult, we need just 0.8 grams of protein per kilo body weight. So if you kind of do your protein, whatever foods that you eat, put it in a myfitnesspal.com. There are many apps. So if you spark people, you just log in whatever you eat and see for yourself. You are actually meeting quite your protein requirement. You do not need any supplement. Protein powder is treated as a supplement. So when we talk about increasing our immunity, protein in itself is nothing. Protein powder has got nothing to do with immunity. It's got, so as I said, healthy eating is a big umbrella rather than just labeling the food. Like, oh, if you eat this food, I'm going to get more immunity. No, there's nothing to increase. There's no food or supplement that can increase our immunity. We can only support our immunity by eating healthy.
Ma'am, next question is all IT people are working from home by sitting for hours together.
Yeah.
If they work in office environment, then the situation is different. But now, what is the advice for them to take care of them?
Very good question. Thank you. So, having said that, like IT and many other professions now we are all working from home in front of the computer, like and working longer days. The days are longer with the stress situation and the work environment has totally changed. I agree. So some of the taking care of them would be, as I said, lifestyle. So lifestyle is again number one is most important is to have a routine, right? Yeah, it's a new normal, and any change is hard and it's different. And for us to kind of understand and manage different things is hard. But having said that, we have to kind of now we don't as since this is an uncertain presented time, it's important for us to come up with strategies in order to maintain our health or even improve our health. So in that perspective, I would say that number one is having regular meal times. Not so when it's your meal time, eat it mindfully, not eating, working and eating, a big no. Not trying to have a bottle of water next to you so that you have at least you go through 2 or 3 like I would say 2 to 3 liters of water, so that at least you will go for health breaks, and also if possible to just get up and stand, like keeping an alarm. Now we have all this technology, keep an alarm to remind you to get up and sit, like stretch and then work, or even stand for some time and work if you can. And then also with regards to what foods are at your disposal, because when the situation is stressful, when you're hungry, when you're missing meals, when you're like kind of when you sleep in and you wake up, oh my god, I have to log in right away, and then you miss your food, so then you are too hungry for lunch and then your portions are big. So managing those, right, having a kind of a discipline. And most important is sleep. There is a lot of new research and evidences around the connection between the sleep and the non-communicable diseases. There's a lot of connection. Diabetes, there's a lot of because I'm a diabetes educator, so I can talk for hours about the connection between sleep and the blood sugar control. So the night shift workers find it very hard to manage blood sugar. So it should be the case in people who who have disturbed sleep, who do not have enough catch up, they don't have enough sleep. So 8 hours of sleep minimum is, like as I said, 7 to 8 hours is recommended in order to maintain health.
Ma'am, next question is how to increase the immunity among pregnant women.
Okay, so pregnant women, number one is that you have to please stay safe. That's very important because of the vulnerability. It is important that you stay safe. Physical distancing, washing your hands as many times, right? Washing your hands, physical distancing, and not having to go out if you don't have to. So those are the key, like that. I'm not the only one recommending it. It's from all the healthcare providers. Then when we talk about the food part, healthy eating is important. Again, in terms of most important is having enough of the whole grains, then the proteins, and then having enough milk daily, right? Milk and yogurt, at least 3 to 4 servings a day in order to meet your calcium, vitamin D requirements for your baby. And also with regards to eating, having at least 2 to 3 fruits a day, different kinds of fruits. Watch the portions, salt, watch the salt, and keep yourself well hydrated, and lots of vegetables. And of course, walk within inside the house, right? As much after post meal, it's a good way to kind of walk to avoid heartburn and also managing the health, like the circulation, and everything. It's a good idea to kind of having walk at the house post meals.
Ma'am, next they've asked if you can explain more about prebiotic foods.
Okay, so the prebiotic foods are the foods that I was talking about, the like onions, leeks, all whole grains and vegetables. So those ones are we need a medium, right? Like for the good bacteria to grow and thrive, we need good bacteria. So that provides these ones kind of provide medium for the good bacteria, and the gut health is very critical in terms of immunity, in our anti-inflammatory, like our inflammatory responses, as well as lowering the oxidative stress.
Ma'am, we'll go in for the last question.
Yes, please.
How do flax seeds work on women with PCOS?
Okay, so PCOS, the thing is, you can have the ground flax seeds, yes, because the fiber will really help with regards to. So I'm not going to go into the the hormonal because it's kind of a plant estrogen kind of a thing. But I'm not going to go into that details because of my scope of practice. I'm going to talk more about the benefits of the ground flax seeds, irrespective of the PCOS. Some of the the common risks include the weight management, and also with regards to pregnancy, and with regards to general the risk for developing diabetes is kind of, these are some of the risks with like women with PCOS. Having said that, flax seeds, as I mentioned earlier, ground flax seeds absolutely can be included in order to meet your fiber, omega-3 requirements, and also it is kind of helps with weight management as well, because it gives satiety. So you can add it. You can, while making chapati, you can add some ground flax seeds if you want to have some more with with fenugreek, a little bit of ground. Like I'm just typically giving you a traditional recipe of our more, where we have a little bit of ground roasted fenugreek seeds with seed powder with some little bit of flax seeds. So you can have it that way. You can have it in cereal. You can even add it to our sambar and rasam and all the vegetables that we make. Just sprinkle it at the, like after you kind of, instead of coconut, we could sprinkle that. It has got a slight nutty flavor, but still you'll get used to it. But as I said, start slow and get used to the taste as well as the fiber, and then hydrate yourself well, because the fiber and hydration goes.
Yeah, ma'am, the last question. How to maintain health of a newborn baby during these pandemic times? What would help them to have a good immunity?
Breastfeeding. That's the only answer I have. So the best thing is the mom keeping herself safe, and breastfeeding has been recommended by the WHO themselves. So I was just looking through that. So breastfeeding is definitely the to go. It's the best food for the baby, the newborn.
Yeah. Thank you so much, ma'am. It was a very informative session, and it was really enlightening for all our participants. Thank you so much for your patience, ma'am.
Thank you, thank you so much, and thank you to all the listeners and the participants. It's a Sunday afternoon, so taking time to kind of listen to this session. Thank you so much. I truly appreciate that. Thank you to the PSG, my principal, to the nutrition department, the organizers, Dr. Radheshri, Dr. Udira, and Dr. Tamil Selvam, the psychology department, and to all my mentors. And thank you so much for this opportunity. I truly enjoyed it. And please let me know if you have any other questions.
Thank you, ma'am. With that, we come to the end of this session. We would like to extend a heartfelt thanks to our respected principal, ma'am, and beloved secretary, sir, for the continued support and motivation to make this webinar a reality. Thank you, ma'am and sir. We would like to extend our thanks to the participants. Thank you so much for your patience and cooperation throughout the sessions. Thank you for your understanding when there was a technical issue. Thank you so much for your enthusiastic participation as well. I now request Dr. P. Tamilselvan, Assistant Professor, Department of Psychology, PSG College of Arts and Science, to deliver the concluding words.
Okay. A very good evening, everyone. So, I think today's off-day workshop, I think we have done about mental health and the lifestyle modifications during the COVID-19 pandemic. So the both of the presenters were presented very well, and the effective presentation it was. I'd like to thank the PSG CAS management, Sri Dr. L. Gopalakrishnan and Principal Dr. D. Brinda and Dr. T. Kanayan Secretary for giving their constant support for conducting this kind of this type of webinar. So this is the first webinar we have conducted. We have organized from PSG CAS Health and Wellness Center. Next, I would like to thank Dr. Radhishri ma'am and L. Udra ma'am. Udra ma'am head Department of Nutrition, and Radhishri ma'am. I think I would like to thank them. And also I would like to thank Mr. Varun. He's an assistant professor, and also he has given constant support for from Wellness Hub. Thank you, Mr. Varun. And other faculty members from PSG CAS Health and Wellness Center and Wellness Hub. So thanks for organizing committee. Ma'am, actually, I would like to thank for the students, especially here. There are a total of 5 students, 5 UG students has organized this everything. So all this webinar and all this, especially for Kavya, Harshita, Abhishek, Arun, and Deepak. So these 5 students have actively cooperative, given their cooperation for this webinar, and they have done this technical work and all. So thank you so much for everyone. And ma'am, I would like to explain. The Radhishri ma'am said, I think it was a one excellent presentation. Shubham ma'am and Uttara ma'am said, I think it was a. You have given a deep insight on the relation between nutrition and immunity, and session was very interesting and impressive. So I also would like to say that yesterday night only we had a trial, but you said I think you didn't prepare the slide. But I think this type of slide, I think it's very professional. You have made it, ma'am. I think you did very effective presentation. I think I saw in the YouTube also they have mentioned. I think there are so many feedbacks has come. So I think this is a wonderful presentation, very informative, very interesting, very effective presentation. I think I also would like to thank you so much, ma'am, for your acceptance for our invitation. Thank you so much. From total of 1,398 participants were participated in this and registered and participated. I think they have come and gone. So there are some technical issues that happened. Anyway, thank you so much. I think we'll come up with some of the new webinar like this. Thank you so much, all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for all your support. You had been so supportive, and thank you to the team for helping me, because I'm totally, very an amateur in technology in terms of the new technology, this medium. And thank you so much for guiding me through the steps and making it flawless. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir. An announcement to all the participants. Please don't exit the WhatsApp groups in which you're already a part of. The feedback forms will come in the WhatsApp group shortly. So your certificates also will be issued only after the feedback forms have been responded to. So please stay in the WhatsApp group. The feedback forms, the link for the same will be sent as soon as possible. For any queries, please do contact our official mail ID or the phone number given in the brochure. Once again, thank you so much for your continuous support. We really appreciate it and we look forward to seeing you all in more such webinars. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you all. Okay, Asita, can we
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
live? Yes. Thank you. Okay.